What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. We got a package in from FCP, and I thought it was going to be the parts to fix the M3. About a week ago, we were doing some rippers, ended up blowing out the drain plug on the radiator. And while I'm hoping for the best, I'm also preparing for the worst. Best case scenario, I somehow broke that drain plug when we were doing the supercharger install and it just now popped out. Worst case scenario, we either lifted a head, cracked a block, pressurized the coolant system via compression and under wide open throttle, which would be like 7 psi of boost, and that pressurized the radiator enough to pop out the drain plug. So like I said, hoping for the best, hoping that we can just put the new drain plug in. I know the car didn't overheat, so we're good there. Put the new drain plug in, bleed the coolant system, go drive the car, and we should be good. Or we pull the motor and fix it. Anyways, those parts did not show up. What was in the FCP package is the new Odyssey battery. The battery in the car is still the factory battery from 2008. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but I think it's a factory battery and it's dead. It's been dying nonstop. So we picked up a new Odyssey battery for it, and we also have something else for the interior. At least I think that's what this is. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we got in this box. This is a new head unit for the M3 as well. The factory one in the car doesn't have much capability. There's no Bluetooth, there's no CarPlay. Look at that, battery's already dead. Yeah, she doesn't have much capabilities whatsoever. So we're gonna be keeping the factory deck down here, but the screen up here we are replacing with the aftermarket one, which I'm super excited for. So first things first, let's go ahead and get the new Odyssey battery installed, make sure everything is good there. I cannot believe how big these batteries are. I'm used to like a regular sized car battery, but let me show you guys how big this one is. All right, new battery is in the car. Should be good to go there for life. If you guys want to pick up that battery, I'll have it linked down in the description box below. Not sure how difficult this guy is to install, but based off just briefly looking at it, it looks like it's going to be fairly simple. Let's go ahead and try to get the factory one out of the car. So here's what the factory one looks like. Here's the radio portion of it. All we have is FM, AM, CD, and aux. My main reason for wanting the new radio is for Bluetooth capabilities, so this thing should be pretty nice. All right, let's pull out the factory unit. There's a Torx bit on this side and one on this side over here as well. They're both T10. Okay, we got the factory screen or the display out with just those two screws. And then I realized we also had to pull out the factory radio just enough to unplug this main wire harness clip right here. So we have to tap into this harness here, utilizing the harness that they included. Very simple to do. All we have to do is unplug that main harness here, which is that plug-in right there. And then I have all of the harnesses laid out over here. So this side is gonna go to the factory radio, and then this is gonna go to the car harness. And then it runs all the way up to the display, and this right here plugs into the back of our aftermarket head unit. We have that main power harness there. We have some USB cables if you want to use USB. I believe this guy here should be for the GPS, so the GPS antenna. TV in, DVD out. I'm not sure if we need this, to be honest. 4G, this is some sort of internet, which I'll go ahead and put that in as well. And then an audio in, audio out cable, which I don't know if we need that either. We can figure that out as we go along. First thing we're gonna do is get this harness installed. So we need to plug it in right here, and then it's gonna run up behind the dash, and we need to have all of these wires pop out back there. We got that one connector plugged in that we needed to plug in on the back of the radio. Got the wire ran up. She comes out right here. Now we're gonna go ahead, throw in the display itself, make sure everything works before we go ahead, button this whole assembly up. So let's get the display in. And we also have to run anything else that we're gonna use. I actually never use USB on any of the other cars, so I'm not gonna put that in. This guy here is for if we're gonna run the back of the camera, so I'm not gonna use that. Pretty much all we're gonna install is this guy here, which is for internet, and this guy here, which is for the GPS. And both of those go right into the bottom of the radio, that brass and the blue fitting there. It took me a minute to get everything figured out, but we got the display to turn on. Let me go ahead and turn it on real quick. I know the car's a mess right now, but I have not hooked up CarPlay yet. There's just some songs already on here. So we got the display to work, and then I could not get the audio to work. And what I had to do was plug in this aux cable. Of course, I'm not gonna have it ran like this, but it goes to the factory aux right there, and then it has to plug into the audio out right here on the back of the radio. Sick jams. So the only two things that plug in to this right here to get everything to work is we have the wire on the side. That is the OEM wire, and then that white wire on the back side that goes from that Y harness. So those are the only two things you need. The GPS and the internet, those things are not necessary for the radio to work. But yeah, so far I really like this thing. I'm go kind of mess around with it. So we have navigation, music. This is like the factory car settings, and I'm not sure why it's so zoomed in. Hopefully I can figure that out. But that's like the factory interface of the car. So I'm gonna run through, get everything plugged back in how it should be plugged in, get everything buttoned up, and make sure it all works like it should. There was also one more thing we got to do down here. You see this green wire and the black wire there, or they're actually both green, but one has a black protective sleeve on it. Factory, that is plugged into this harness, which would then plug into the back of the radio. But being that we had to unplug the harness and plug it into the aftermarket harness, you have to take those two wires, remove them from the connector, and they plug right into the back of the radio. We did that, and then everything started working. Let's get all this buttoned up and see how she works. All right, the entire install is wrapped up, completed. Everything pretty much looks factory when the ignition's off. So let's run through exactly how this whole system works. This knob right here still controls everything up there. You press up right here, and as you can see, it goes up on the screen. It's a very simple setup, simple yet effective. We have music over here. I don't know where this music is coming from. it's like some sort of USB drive that's in the radio somewhere. So yeah, there's 4 songs on there, which is a little bit odd. I don't really use that though. I think the coolest thing is it's called Z-Link on here, but it's the CarPlay. And I just found this out too. This thing is a touchscreen, so you can pull up maps. Everything just comes right off of my iPhone. Maps, Pandora, messages. You can still use the factory radio in the car.
And home.
As you guys hear,
There's never been a more important time to focus on your...
One thing I did notice is when you're using the radio here, it doesn't display on the screen. So it still shows my Pandora and how you get to the radio or back to like CarPlay. Just hitting this mode here. So that there is radio, and you can still change through the stations. One thing I do want to figure out is why that's so zoomed in. That's like 200% zoomed in. If we get that back to factory, that'd be nice. But everything in here still works. You can go in here, all the settings. You can check your check engine lights, all the stuff like a factory car. Hold this down for about a second and it'll go back to where we were before with the Android unit. There is built-in navigation, but from just briefly looking at it, it seems like the CarPlay navigation off my iPhone is a little bit better. So pretty much the only thing I'm going to use on this radio is going to be CarPlay. There may be some other things here and there, but I think CarPlay is the nicest thing. There is all this stuff over here, and I'm not sure if it works yet or not. We can't start the car, but they have a tack. I'd be really curious to see if that stuff works, because that is pretty cool if it does work. And it looks like, is that a gas gauge down there? Coolant temp. There is some movies on here already, and the picture quality of this thing is absolutely insane. It looks so freaking good. And it sounds pretty good too. I want to show you guys where I ran the aux cable. I did think that was a little bit odd that we had to plug into the aux cable there, or the aux port there, but it's what we had to do to get the sound to work. So I just pulled up this little cover right here, ran the cable through there underneath the shifter trim, and then into that aux port. Well guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right here. I'm gonna get a hold of the radio manufacturer and see if we can't figure out that OEM display, how it's way zoomed in. I want to get that back to normal. If we could figure that out, I'd rate this radio so far a 10 out of 10. I know we haven't driven the car at all, but just brief testing, it seems absolutely amazing. It's fast, quick, been reliable so far for the hour or so I've messed with it. Display is awesome, sound is awesome, install was fairly easy. If you guys want it, I'll link it down below. Peace out, my friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow.